that so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicings rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has brought us, facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day where hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to that place for which our fathers died. We have come over a path with which tears have been watered. We have come treading a path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from a gloomy past till now we stand at last in that white gleam where the bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into this light. Keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you, Anika Sampson Anderson and Chelsea Murray, for those performances. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President and CEO of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Ms. A. Shawnice Washington.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Incorporated, welcome to our 44th Annual Phoenix Awards Dinner. For me, and for many of you, this event is an annual tradition, and it is also a high point of my year to attend these events and an honor to welcome you to them. This dinner and this legislative conference are among the most important gatherings of African American leaders, and these events offer an indispensable opportunity for legislators, policymakers, community activists, and people from every walk of life to talk about what it takes to move African Americans forward. You know, this event is an annual reunion of an ever-expanding extended family. For those of you who are regular participants, we are grateful for your continued presence and support. For those of you who are newcomers, we are honored to welcome you. For all of us, this is a very special occasion to honor the individuals whose accomplishments have had an enduring impact on our community and our country and are building a better world for generations to come. The Phoenix Awards Dinner is meaningful, not only because it serves as a way to lift up some of our nation's greatest luminaries, it is also important because your attendance supports our educational and fellowship programs. These endeavors are essential to our mission of developing leaders and forming policy and educating the public. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Freedom Summer campaign to register Black voters in the state of Mississippi. And it is also the 60th anniversary of the Supreme Court's historic decision in Brown versus Board of Education. Now, as we all know, Brown versus Board began the desegregation of our public schools, and the Civil Rights Act desegregated public accommodations. But as the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. famously asked, what good does it take to do you to be able to sit at a lunch counter when you can't afford a hamburger? That is why our legislative conferences have always offered a forum for engaging in the difficult discussions about social justice and economic empowerment, so that we can begin the hard work of creating sustainable solutions to the challenges that African Americans confront every day. To inform that discussion and to take it well beyond the Washington Beltway, we are creating the Permanence Project, a virtual community to explore, explain, and discuss the great public policy issues affecting Black communities. The theme of this conference is, It Starts With You. And tonight, I ask you to sign up for the Permanence Project. Please follow the directions on the screen or log in on your cell phone to cbcfinc.org/Permanence Project. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our MCs for this evening. Judge Greg Mathis, whose life story lives up to the title of his memoir, Inner City Miracle, and the renowned actress, singer, and activist, Cheryl Lee Ralph. Please join me in welcoming them.
Good evening, and greetings to my dream girl, Cheryl Lee Ralph. You're looking fabulous this evening.
Oh, thank you, Judge. I receive all of that.
All right. As always, I'm excited to share this stage with you and become part of this momentous occasion with all of you guys. I'm truly honored to be here tonight, so much so, I'm about to knock the mic over. But I want to make sure that we celebrate the Congressional Black Caucus and the work that they've done, recognizing the achievements of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Incorporated, and pay tribute to our distinguished honorees this evening.
And good evening to you, Judge Mathis, my good buddy and friend. And it is good to be here with all of you this evening, and I am delighted to be here with you once again. You know, I make sure I put the CBC on my calendar. Each year, every year, I am here when the political family comes together.
That's right.
And this year, I'm especially honored to serve as your co-MC of this year's Phoenix Awards dinner. To the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, please know that we stand with you in your struggle to move legislation forward that advances not only the African American community, but all in this country who endeavor to receive every opportunity that our great nation offers. Your tireless efforts are not in vain. As they would say in the vernacular, we got your back.
That's right.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation gives each of us a way to get involved and extend our collective reach on behalf of the black community. Founded in 1976, the bicentennial of the Declaration of Independence, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation has helped to bring our country a little bit closer to its promise that young people, regardless of their background or financial resources, have an opportunity for higher education and strong career opportunities. The foundation develops leaders to take on the toughest issues confronting our communities and our country.
Do I have to talk? You sound so lovely.
Thank you so much. Yes, you must talk now.
Well, I'm taking orders tonight, all right. You know, President Obama often quotes Dr. King's challenge to all Americans to acknowledge the fierce urgency of now.
Yes.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation addresses urgent issues through its public policy arm that explores pressing issues such as voting rights, criminal justice reform, and disparities in health care and education. Thank God for Eric Holder.
Yes.
As a board member, I also know how committed the foundation is to exploring the challenges that will loom large in the years ahead, such as STEM, education, and certain careers in neurosciences, just to name a few.
And this year also marks the 50th anniversary of Dr. King receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. From frightening epidemics, can you say Ebola, just to name one,
God bless,
to exciting opportunities to sell our products and services overseas, our challenges are increasingly international in scope. As the name African Americans suggests, we are part of the global diaspora, and our concerns and commitments must extend beyond the borders of this country. And that is why I remain a committed healthcare activist here in these United States and in my mother's homeland of Jamaica. and why I am proud of the Foundation's commitment to exploring international as well as national issues.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. And now let's welcome to the stage Representatives Sanford Bishop and Joyce Beatty, our co-chairs of this year's annual legislative conference.
Thank you, Greg and Cheryl, for being such great MCs, and thank you, Congresswoman Beatty, for all of your great planning and inspiring this informative week of dialogue, networking, celebration, and reflection.
Thank you, Congressman Bishop. For me and for all of us, this has been a week of reflection and rededication to the causes that we are committed to and to the constituents whom we serve.
The theme of this conference is, "It Starts With You." We've explored the strength of the individual power that each of us brings to our historic task of making a positive change in the American community and the African diaspora. For more than 4 decades, the Congressional Black Caucus has brought this strength to bear in the great battles for full civil rights, social justice, and economic empowerment. We are truly blessed to live in an America transformed by our accomplishments, but we still have much work to do. As the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. wrote in his letter from the Birmingham jail, "Time itself is neutral. It can be used either constructively or destructively. It starts with each and every one of you as individuals to use our time to make the changes that will promote the progress of the entire African American community."
We renewed our spirits at the prayer breakfast, and now we must redouble our efforts for our future. Our collective commitment really does draw upon our individual strength. The strength and courage of named and unnamed men and women who marched and battled discrimination helped to pave the way for the nation-altering Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, opening new opportunities for African Americans and women. Yet, 50 years later, too often children are faced with hunger, neighborhoods are plundered by violence, and families are hobbled by unemployment and numerous injustices. So, it starts with you. To understand that individuals need jobs and economic security, affordable education, and equal pay. And when women succeed, America succeeds. The Congressional Black Caucus is known as the conscience of the Congress because we fight for these core commitments: economic security, excellence in education, quality health care, a fair start in life for every child, and a fair shot at success for every man and woman.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Board Chair, Representative Shaka Fattah.
As chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, our board would like to thank you for coming tonight and supporting our work, not just tonight, but every day this year. I must also extend my thanks to my fellow board members for their ongoing engagement in this critically important work. When we remember the wide range of issues we face during the sessions this week, we're reminded once again of the sweep and scope of our work. These conferences, workshops, brain trusts always remind me of how honored I am to serve as the chairman of the board of directors of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. We deal with a wide range of issues and we address them this week, but we address them every week. And our concerns are as timely as today's headlines and as timeless as our history. We are meeting at a mountaintop moment when we can see how far our journey has brought us and how much further we still must go. As we have discussed over the last few days, so much is at stake. 60 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, we are still working and struggling to expand educational opportunities for every child in every classroom, in every community throughout our country. 50 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we are still working for greater opportunities to find new and better economic opportunities and jobs for our people, and to attain what we understand to be the American dream of owning a home and building family wealth so that we can pass it on to future generations. 50 years after the Freedom Summer of 1964, which directly led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, we are resisting restrictions anew on voting rights. In the aftermath of tragedies and places that have become known to each of us, but we have always been familiar with, the Ferguson, Missouris, and Sanford, Floridas of our country, we are working to reform law enforcement and our criminal justice systems. We must concern ourselves with new challenges as well as old struggles. With immigration reform on the American agenda, we are working for fairness, not only for newcomers to our nation, but also for those whose forebears were brought here in slave ships and are still locked in a low-wage economy. And we must make sure that the benefits of brilliant new technologies as brain research and neuroscience that I've focused on, and which have a special place of concern in the work of my work in the Congress, are shared by all Americans and not just a privileged few. Because we want our progress to be lasting and not fleeting, and because we want discussions about our future to reach well beyond the Beltway. The foundation under my leadership is launching our priority initiative, the Permanence Project. We are creating a virtual community in which we can have an ALC every day, where we can talk often and you can receive information about legislation that's going to impact the African American community in all of America. Built in a cloud-based web platform, it will offer real-time resources and analysis of all of the subjects that we are debating and deciding and voting into law in both the Congress and in state legislatures across our country. By informing people interested in these issues and their impact on the African American community, we will promote a new, more knowledgeable discussion about the urgent issues and long-term challenges facing the African American community. I am proud that the CBC and the CBCF are working together to expand our exchange of ideals and advance our agenda for a more perfect union. My colleague, Congresswoman Marsha Fudge, chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus, has been a tireless advocate and warrior in advancing this agenda. Please join me in welcoming the Congresswoman and the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus from the great state of Ohio, Marsha Fudge.
Thank you, Chairman Fattah. The theme of this year's annual legislative conference couldn't be more timely. It starts with you. Tonight, we remember all those who took great risks to take giant steps on America's rocky but righteous journey towards justice. We remember Rosa Parks, who refused to sit in the back of the bus, the brave college students who sat in at a lunch counter, the Freedom Riders who braved angry mobs, and the volunteers of Freedom Summer who risked their lives to register Black voters in Mississippi. It is our time now. Some of our fellow Americans who have never worried about their unarmed children being shot dead on the street often ask, well, what do they want? Racism and inequality aren't problems anymore. What more could they ask for? Recalling the eloquence of one of my heroes, Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, I offer the answer she gave. What the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. Today, the American promise means fully embracing the intent and spirit of the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. The promise of America means fair economic policies that distribute the tax burden equitably and creates jobs. It means improving public education so that our young scholars can be competitive in the international marketplace. It means that every individual votes in every election, not just the ones with the president on the ballot. As we honor those who strive to keep America's promise tonight, it is only fitting that we pay tribute to two departing members of the CBC. After serving her 9th term in the House, Dr. Donna Christensen is stepping down as delegate from the U.S. Virgin Islands. She is the first female physician to serve in Congress and the first woman to represent an offshore territory. She chairs the Congressional Black Caucuses and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Health Brain Trust, which works to ensure that no matter their income, no matter their background, no matter their address, all Americans can live healthy lives and have medical care when they need it. Then there's Congressman Mel Watt. Mel Watt represented his North Carolina district with distinction since 1993, serving on the Financial Services Committee. When the housing crisis developed and the financial system was shaken, Congressman Watt was the right person in the right place at the right time. He worked heroically to stabilize the housing finance system and the entire economy, helping to preserve Americans' homes, people's life savings, and their businesses and jobs. In recognition of Mel Watt's knowledge, accomplishments, and commitment to keeping the American promise of a home of your own, President Obama nominated him and he was confirmed as director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, where once again, he is doing the critical work of helping Americans keep a roof over their heads. We wish him Godspeed. Donna and Mel, we will miss you. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge the great work and leadership of Attorney General Eric Holder. After close to 3 decades of service to this nation through the Department of Justice, Attorney General Holder has shown an unwavering commitment to protecting and defending the pursuit of justice for every American. His integrity has earned him the respect of his colleagues, and his candor has earned him the trust of those with whom he served. As the first African American to serve in the role of Attorney General, Eric Holder has presided over the Department of Justice during a time where issues of equal treatment and protection under the law have been widely challenged and debased in our nation. However, Attorney General Holder has never hesitated to remind us that the pursuit of justice is a fundamental right and critical to the survival of our democracy. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus hold Eric Holder in the highest esteem.
His departure will leave a significant void in this administration and in our nation. Attorney General Holder, we will miss you, but we wish you the very best in the next steps of your extremely accomplished and admirable career. As I conclude, I welcome the minister who will deliver our invocation tonight, the Reverend Marshall Paul Hughes Mitchell, the pastor of Salem Baptist Church of Jenkintown, Pennsylvania. Truly a Renaissance man, the Reverend Mitchell has served as Chief of Staff to former Congressman Floyd Flake of New York, served as Executive Vice President of Wilberforce University, and founded a film marketing and publicity company. Ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Marshall Paul Hughes Mitchell.
Let us pray. God of glory, Lord of love, grant us now the peace that passes all understanding, a love divine, devoted, and determined to seek justice and to love mercy. Grant now, eternal God, that thy love will know no limits, that your mercy will seek out the least of us, that our actions and righteousness will measure up to your grace and opportunities bestowed upon us. While now assembled are those who author legislation, teach us the wisdom and humility to know that you alone are the author and finisher of our faith, our lives, and our being. We pray that this nation, this young experiment in liberty, will fix its places where we stray from your favor and expectation, recognizing that none is good but you. In that spirit, we pray for this nation, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, moderates, and conservatives. One nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We pray these things in that name that is above every name, the bright and morning star. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served.
Thank you. And now I invite your attention to this short video for a little bit more information with regards to our leadership programs. Thank you so much.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is a public policy, education, and research institute committed to improving the socioeconomic circumstances of African Americans in underserved communities. Each semester we recruit, train, and provide opportunities for college students, recent graduates, and people from all across the globe to work on Capitol Hill and several other federal agencies.
This opportunity means a lot to me. Not many young black men at my age are able to say, I worked on Capitol Hill for the summer. I was gonna work at Staples this summer, and 2 weeks before I was about to, work at Staples, I got a call and said I'm working on Capitol Hill with my Congressman Bobby Rush.
The Congressional Black Caucus Foundation internship program is very important to me, as I think it is important to the African American community. The reason is because the programs really invest in a future that we may not see. And we do this by preparing the next generation of leaders to take on the challenges to ensure that we all can achieve the American dream.
One of the things that makes our programs unique would be that anyone who is admitted is providing with a stipend and housing. The CBCF has long been a fervent believer that no matter where you come from, if you have the ability and the willingness to serve, you should not be deprived of an opportunity to intern in DC simply because you or your family cannot afford it.
Because of the CBCF, I was able to have my eyes open to an entirely different world in which I was able to go far beyond what my statistics said I should have been able to do. I'm from a single parent household, the youngest of 3 girls, and I didn't even realize that I could go to Capitol Hill and I could walk those same halls with some of the legends and greats that have changed America for the better. And the CBCF literally has changed my entire perspective of what I can do as a Black woman.
I think it's important that we've always talked about the next generation of leaders, but we need to talk about the now generation of leaders. What leaders are doing now? How are we preparing leaders to start now? And so the way we do that is to really train people who are engaged and interested in politics. And that's what I think the CBCF Leadership Institute does.
Who I am and what I dream about was not the same before I came to CBCF. And dreams are something that's lost in my generation, and that's something that you can't really give someone unless you open their imagination. And to open, it's almost like the sky. You can't dream of stars until you're able to look at the sky. And CBCF allowed me to literally look up into the sky and wonder what else could possibly be out there for me and what else in that galaxy I could touch.
I lead.
I serve.
Will you?
Our young people. And as you have just seen and heard, the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation is making a real impact in Black communities and in the lives of our young people. We are offering each of you an opportunity to help today. You can help the foundation continue to make a positive difference in the lives of our young people and in communities across the country. You can give today using your cell phones. Let's get them out. Now, pull them out and get ready to push, but I should let you know you're going to push giving some money, so don't act like you don't have them tonight. But you can give today using your cell phone. Just text CBCF, that would stand for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, CBCF to 20222 to make a donation.
Yes.
Once again, CBCF, text that to 20222 to make a donation. Standard messaging rates may apply. I'm gonna waive them today, though.
Well, I just got all of that there so I can post it on Instagram. And I believe in doing my part, and that's why I got you a whole full first season of Ray Donovan, because I know you love the show.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right, Claudette.
I also believe in leading and teaching by example. So, now, you're supposed to take up your phone. Now, is it going to be up there? They have it up there? Well, you can watch me on the screen. If not, if you're going to make a donation for all of those who got a free ticket tonight, yes.
You're first.
And for all of those who bought tickets for everybody else and want to donate just a little bit more, okay, you just put it in the way he said. Is it up there? There it goes. Then you make that little thing right there. You press donate. Okay, that was $10, y'all. What happened?
No, that's $1,500, I believe you just gave.
Thank you.
Oh,
there
right.
you are. Did it work? Well, you text CBCF2 20222. You can make a $10, you can make a $1,000, you can make a $150 donation right now.
I don't see any cell phones coming out. Now
Some of them may. Look, there they are right there.
All right.
Come on. Throw your cell phones up.
I'm giving away 30 days. Everybody I don't see, 30 days in the hole.
I believe you too. I watch your show. Anyway, I am honored to introduce the recipients of the CBC Chair's Phoenix Award, the President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, Mr. Wade Henderson. Okay, it's just a little glitch, but the video is coming. And if it's not the video, it will be the voice of God, but something will be happening soon.
30 days. 30 days.
For more than 3 decades, advocating on a wide range of human rights, civil liberties, and leading the nation's premier civil and human rights coalition, Wade Henderson, a graduate of Howard University and Rutgers University School of Law, has been one of the nation's most effective advocates for social and human justice. Wade Henderson currently serves as the president and chief executive officer of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights and the Leadership Conference Education Fund. An author of numerous articles on civil rights and public policy issues, Henderson is known for being unapologetic in his creative approach to ensuring the underserved and underprivileged are represented. He has worked to build and diversify the nation's premier civil and human rights coalition and proves every day that Americans from all walks of life can work side by side for fairness, equality, and opportunity. The former Washington Bureau Director of the NAACP and recipient of countless awards and honors, including the prestigious Eleanor Roosevelt Award for Human Rights from the U.S. Department of State and the Charles Hamilton Medallion of Merit from the Washington Bar Association, Henderson continues to take the Leadership Conference to the next level, building its internal capacity to lead a coalition of more than 200 national organizations. A member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, Wade Henderson's ability to move people into action makes him a remarkably unique and invaluable 21st century human rights leader. He has led important legislative campaigns, including the disability community's fight to pass Title II of the ADA Amendment Act, restoring the original intent that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities, the LGBT community's fight to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and pass a more expansive hate crimes bill, and the women's community's fight to pass the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, making it easier for employees to challenge pay discrimination in court. Henderson has taken on our nation's system of mass incarceration and the many ways the criminal justice system affects the lives of Black and brown people by advocating a nationwide moratorium on out-of-school suspensions. He's fought for the restoration of formerly incarcerated people's voting rights and pushed Congress to eliminate mandatory minimum sentencing and the use of racial profiling by law enforcement. Wade Henderson's expertise, passion, and determination to rid our community of inequality and injustice are nothing short of extraordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to honor Mr. Wade Henderson with the CBC Chairs Award for exhibiting the highest standards of dedication, ability, and creativity in the fight for social and human justice.
Representative Marsha L. Fudge will present the CBC Chair's Phoenix Award to Wade Henderson.
As chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus, I have the honor of presenting the CBC Chair's Phoenix Award to a man whose name may not be a household word, but whose achievements have made history. Wade Henderson leads the nation's leading civil rights coalition, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, as well as the Leadership Conference Education Fund. Wade Henderson plays many parts, all of them with distinction. He is a masterful diplomat, holding together a coalition of more than 200 national organizations. As I can testify personally, he is a peerless lobbyist and a skilled strategist, having helped to enact and extend much of the great civil rights legislation of our time. And he is also a teacher, serving as the Joseph L. Raw, Jr. Professor of Public Interest Law at the David L. Clark School of Law at the University of the District of Columbia. A native of Washington, D.C., and a graduate of Howard University and Rutgers Law School, Wade Henderson was the director of the Washington Bureau of the NAACP before heading the Leadership Conference.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And thank you so much, Chairperson Fudge. I'm genuinely humbled to be among this illustrious collection of individuals. I want to congratulate tonight's other honorees, Kathy Hughes, Muhammad Ali, Susan Taylor, and Dr. Robert White. Shawnice Washington, you and the CBC Foundation have again put together a wonderful week of events and discussions. To President Obama, it's always a pleasure to be in your company, sir. And to our dear Attorney General, Eric Holder, it's a privilege to have you here this evening in the House. I am deeply honored to receive this year's CBC Chair Award. I wish to thank the Chair, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge, and the entire membership of the Congressional Black Caucus for this incredible recognition. For 43 years, the CBC has been a powerful force for progress in our nation. Individually and collectively, CBC members routinely provide the courageous leadership we need in Washington, not just for African Americans, but for all Americans who ask nothing more than to have an equal shot at achieving the American dream. That work has a proud heritage that extends to just after the Civil War and the abolition of slavery, when the first generation of African Americans served in Congress. They were the trailblazers for the kind of inclusive democracy that strengthens our increasingly diverse nation. Today's CBC carries forward that legacy with principle, strength, and effective advocacy. For those reasons, I consider this the most historically significant award I've ever received, and I thank you for it. Now, this honor also belongs to many others, to the advocates and organizations that make up the civil and human rights movement, to the dedicated staff of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights and the Leadership Conference Education Fund, and to my wife of over 40 years, Marcia Henderson, and to my daughters, Tahira and Anaya Henderson, for their support and the inspiration they provide. Now, as I close, let me say to those of you on Twitter that in honor of Michael Brown and all the other young Michael Browns, tonight's hashtag is Hands Up, Go Vote. Hands up, go vote. Let's do it, and let's make the change we want to see happen. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the recipient of the first ALC Co-Chairs Award, Dr. Robert Wright.
The son of a bricklayer and a nurse, Dr. Robert Wright Jr., raised in Columbus, Georgia, where segregation was prevalent, maintained the belief that through education he could have a better life. Migrating north, becoming the second African American to receive a medical degree in optometry from Ohio State University, Wright, with the help of $2,000 from his parents, opened his first private practice in Ohio. He later married and within a year sold the practice, moved to his hometown, and opened a new practice and served in the community. Dr. Wright became involved in the civil rights movement and served 3 consecutive terms on the city council. Selected by the Reagan administration, Wright moved to Washington and served 2 years in the U.S. Small Business Administration. Co-founding Dimensions International in Georgia, a leading-edge technology company of which he located to D.C. due to the enormous success with government business, the company employed over 1,500 employees in 10 countries within 16 time zones. Dr. Wright later sold the company in 2007 to Honeywell for over $230 million. Today, he is the chairman and CEO of FE Holdings Incorporated, which has interests in motorsports, gaming, entertainment, lighting, and real estate. Wright gave back significantly to his community when he helped fund the new health sciences building at Columbus Technical College in his hometown of Columbus, Georgia. He also offers a supportive business environment for entrepreneurs and new business owners through other ventures. Chairing and serving on impressive committees and boards such as the AFLAC Audit Committee and Morehouse School of Medicine, Wright has received countless honors and awards such as the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award for Technology Services, the Minority Small Business of the Year Award from the Department of Commerce, and becoming one of the 50 most influential minorities in business. Tonight, it is the Congressional Black Caucus's honor to present the CBC ALC Co-Chairs Award to Dr. Robert Wright Jr. for exemplifying leadership and social responsibility on a national level.
Representative Sanford Bishop Jr. will present the first ALC Co-Chairs Phoenix Award to Dr. Robert Wright.
As we have just seen, our second honoree, Dr. Robert Wright, exemplifies our theme. It starts with you. Growing up during the Depression in racially segregated Georgia, he was determined to break through the social and economic barriers to wealth and health that limited African Americans throughout his native South. He earned a Doctor of Optometry degree from Ohio State University in the 1960s, returned home to practice, was a leader of the local civil rights movement, and became one of the first 2 black members to serve on the Columbus City Council. Dr. Wright, as you heard, founded a national political consulting firm and later secured an appointment as Associate Administrator of the United States Small Business Administration, where he administered programs which assisted numerous small minority entrepreneurs through the 8A, 7J, and capital ownership programs. He then started his own business, Dimensions International, with 3 employees in Columbus, Georgia. He grew it into a world-class organization with more than 100 offices in 10 countries, with 1,500 employees in 16 different time zones. It was ultimately sold to Honeywell for well over $230 million. He has served on many national and international corporate, university, and advisory boards and commissions, but the real impact of his life is revealed in how he has used each step in the ladder of success to inspire and empower others. As chairman of the Presidential Commission for the National Museum of African American History and Culture, he led the effort that culminated in the 2003 Act of Congress establishing the museum as a part of the Smithsonian Institution, authorizing construction on a 5-acre site on the National Mall between the Washington Monument and the Museum of American History. Set to open in 2016, this is the only national museum devoted exclusively to the documentation of African American life, art, history, and culture. As a board member of AFLAC, He helped the company earn its designation as the best Fortune 500 company for minorities and women to work. And he persuaded Aflac to give $1 million gifts to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial and the National Museum of African American History and Culture, the only Fortune 500 company to do the same. Finally, as a philanthropist, Dr. Wright gave a legacy gift of $2 million of the $25 million needed to construct the Robert Wright Health Science Building at Columbus Technical College in honor of his late mother, Pauline Wright, a career public health nurse for many years in Columbus, Georgia. This gift makes training for low-income students in the health science fields, nursing, medical technology, dental hygiene, and operation room technology accessible close to home. For all that he has accomplished as a business leader, a civil rights activist, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist, we are proud to honor Dr. Robert L. Wright.
Thank you and good evening. It's a great honor and a privilege to stand before you tonight to accept this award. I was stunned when I learned that I had been nominated alongside such esteemed group of fellow awardees, Kathy Hughes, Susan Taylor, Wade Henderson, and the incomparable Muhammad Ali. I stand with you tonight in applauding the remarkable contributions made by these pioneers and join you in paying tribute to their phenomenal legacy. Words cannot express the sincere gratitude I feel in receiving such an honor. First of all, I want to say thank you to God, from whom all blessings flow. I would also take this opportunity to thank you, Congressman Bishop Sanford, a friend of mine for many years. And I want to thank you first for your friendship, and on behalf of the citizens of the 2nd District of Georgia, I want to thank you for your untiring efforts to do all that you can to make the 2nd District a better place to live. I also want to thank my friend of over 30 years, Secretary Alexis Herman, for being here with me tonight. Alexis. I would like to thank the Congressional Black Caucus, many of whom I've known as friends over the years, for your continuous efforts to keep before Congress and our nation those issues that are important to African Americans and other minorities. As I accept this award, I would be remiss if I did not mention the late Congressman Perrin Mitchell. I met Congressman Mitchell while working as Associate Administrator for Minority Small Business at the Small Business Administration. And at that time, Congressman Mitchell chaired the Small Business Committee of the House. He directed me, he guided me, he helped me in assisting the development of disadvantaged businesses so that through the government-assisted 8A program, they could gain great opportunities and go on to become vibrant and sustaining companies. His words and his advice led me to develop my own company, which we feel became very successful. But I would also like to thank Dan Amos, Chairman and CEO of AFLAC, and the entire AFLAC family for their support of the African American Museum, the M.L. King Memorial, and their continued support of Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for over 35 years. AFLAC remains in the forefront of cultivating diversity among leadership of Fortune 500 companies, and to that vein, just recently named Audrey Tillman, a young African-American female, as Executive Vice President and General Counsel. Lastly, but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my family and friends for their dedication and their support. They are the constant reminders that what we do for ourselves die with us, but what we do for others and the world remains immortal. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next ALC Co-Chair's Phoenix Award honoree, Ms. Susan L. Taylor.
Okay, these are the facts. One
third of all black children are living in poverty.
Living in poverty.
These are the facts.
These are the facts.
6.6% of all African-American births
are to mothers under the age of 18.
1 in 4 Latinas is a teen mother.
The
infant mortality rate for black babies is more than twice that of the national average and rising.
These are the facts. Nearly half of all black and Latino children drop out before graduating from high school.
Every day
in America, more than 1,000 black children are arrested.
1 in every 8 black men aged 25 to 29 is incarcerated.
Our young Latinos are over-incarcerated as well.
For young black women aged 25 to 34.
HIV/AIDS is the leading cause of death.
The leading cause of death.
And the leading cause of death for our boys,
for our young black men, is homicide.
But these are also the facts. From the hundreds of rebellions that took place on slave ships, to the students who sat in Greensboro, and the students who walked out in Soweto, we have always fought back, always cared for our own, always resisted injustice. We are the people who refuse to die. Like then, what's important now is that we not retreat, not surrender our tradition of faith and that can-do spirit. We can create powerful lives and end the state of emergency among our young. This is the sole purpose for the National CARES Mentoring Movement. Throughout the nation, our dedicated CARES Circle leaders are hard at work. They're closing that huge gap between the relatively few black mentors and the many impoverished black children in need of our encouragement. We're working on behalf of all children who are poor and struggling. The National CARES Mentoring Movement, founded as Essence Cares, recruits caring adults to serve as role models, tutors, reading buddies, guides, friends, and deploys them to schools, mentoring organizations, and to the academic enrichment programs CARES is building with our partners. Disproportionate numbers of black children are on waiting lists, and they're hoping that a caring adult will soon show up. And there's a critical need for the wisdom and strength of our beautiful black men. The children need you so. All we're asking is this, that you give 1 hour a week to help save a life and secure a child.
You can
mentor one of the 2.4 million children.
2.4
million.
Almost 2.5 million children.
Who has a parent in prison.
You can get five
friends.
5 friends to register.
To register and vote.
Failing schools, the carnage in our communities, celebration of thug life, the over-incarceration and relentless demonization of black males, the demeaning of black women. No, not on our watch.
You can demand your church.
You can demand your church.
You can demand your church be open for children after school.
And on Saturdays.
In order to teach our kids an accurate account of their history,
Our faith communities can offer the support our children
are longing for.
Reading, math, science, technology, high expectations, and love. With our partners, these are the group mentoring supports National Cares is bringing to challenged schools. Help grow and sustain this movement by going online and making a donation. No amount is too small. Connect with your local Cares Mentor Recruitment Circle. We've lived through harder and harsher times than these. Like then, the most revolutionary thing we can do right now is to love one another, become a mentor, help to secure the most vulnerable among us, our children, our beloved children.
so I'm in.
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 Are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to honor Susan L. Taylor with the ALC Co-Chairs Award for her exemplary leadership and social responsibility on a national level.
Representative Joyce Beatty will present the next ALC Co-Chairs Phoenix Award to Susan L. Taylor.
Our next honoree is the founder and CEO of the National Cares Mentoring Movement and editor-in-chief emerita of Essence magazine. Born and raised in Harlem from West Indian parents, married to Kefra Burns, publisher and writer, with whom she has authored 2 books and many published books she has of her own. Founder of her own cosmetic company at 24 years old. 20 years as editor-in-chief of Essence magazine. Author of the magazine's most popular column, In the Spirit. She has received far too many awards to name, but often referenced as one of the most influential Black women in journalism. Founder of the National Cares Mentoring Movement. Yes, we are talking about the indomitable Susan L. Taylor. Taylor now devotes her life to building the National Cares Mentoring Movement, the fastest growing mentoring recruitment organization in the nation, which to date has recruited more than 1,040 mentors. National Cares is a community transformation crusade dedicated to changing the predictable futures defined for youth and their families who are struggling along the margins and living with the indignity of poverty. And as it is recognized as a national leader in the recruitment, training, and engagement of African American mentors in 58 cities and 23 states. Susan Taylor, yes, Susan Taylor is closing the gap for our children and families with a can-do spirit. And in the words of this extraordinary shero and my friend, we don't have an eternity to realize our dreams, only the time we are here. Ladies and gentlemen, I present our co-chairs honoree, the award to Susan L. Taylor.
My goodness, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, it's with a heart overflowing with joy that I just offer you my deepest gratitude for the greatest honor of my life. 140,000 mentors recruited by some of the amazing people who are in this room tonight, our leaders from all over the country. And you are a warrior for justice and so full of grace and compassion. Thank you. Your selection, I'm humbled tonight. I'm humbled. And let me also just thank a few other CBC members who were there at the very beginning. Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee just brought resources to this movement. Elijah Cummings, Al Green, he was there when we launched it. Sheila Jackson Lee, Maxine Waters, just thank you so. I'm also grateful to some other early believers who knew that we could recruit African Americans to mentor African American children who need love and support, because when the call goes out for mentors, it's white women who were the first respondents, and then white men, and then black women, and then black men, and we need mentors in reverse order. So I want to thank those investors, the George Soros Open Society Foundation, Sean Dove. Sean Dove is the leader of the campaign for Black Male Achievement, and Kellogg, and AT&T and Verizon and FedEx, and the Coca-Cola Company, Bank of New York Mellon, Bank of America, and General Motors Foundations. They were there at the beginning. And ladies of the Lynx ladies have invested in the National Cares Mentoring Movement, and the men of the Boulé. And I have to thank Michael Eric Dyson and beloved Marcia Dyson, who have they're always there when I call and say, we need you to come speak to motivate our young, and my beloved husband, who you heard the Congresswoman mention, my beloved Keffer Burns. Just stand quickly, Keffy, and let people see you. He's my beloved one. Has my back. You know, people ask me why, after 37 years, and they want to say, at your age, why are you doing this, you know? The village is on fire. The village is on fire. And if you look at these statistics of our young who make it to the 12th grade, 84% of them read below grade level. 94% are calculating below grade level in math. The over-incarceration of our young, so many dying out of season. Children growing up with the indignity of poverty in unstable households, surrounded by violence all around them in communities. These are the things that have made Black children the most parentless children in the nation. But still, if we know our history, we know this is not the rough side of the mountain, not if you know what those who came before us had to withstand. I mean, they navigated terrain far more dangerous, far more treacherous than anything that we have to contend with. Yes, the work ahead is mighty. It is a mighty work. But we are a mighty people. And we're the largest group of privileged, educated Black people ever on the face of this earth. If we could survive the Middle Passage, if we could survive the genocide of slavery, the terrorism of Jim Crow, and put a Black man whose name scared people in the White House, you know, along with his wife, so fine, our sister Michelle Obama, we can surely bring the needed healing waters to the wellness, hopes, and dreams of our children, dreams that are fast going up in flames. Mentoring saves lives. Mentoring works miracles. 98% of the young people who are mentored, if they're mentored well, they reject gangs and drugs and the misuse of alcohol. They do not become parents before they become adults. This is a battle we can win. Group mentoring is the way forward. It's the only way forward that we're going to capture the many who are falling and failing along the margins. It's not nuclear physics. It's common sense. If we can transform ourselves and see congregations transformed with a single minister in the pulpit, if that faith could spark the civil rights movement, if the transformation that's occurring in that Chicago school, Harlan, on the South Side, where we're mentoring 1,000 young ones with about 40 mentors in the school, the climate, Reggie Evans, the phenomenal principal, says is changing. The children are calming down. Why? Because we're showing up. Mentors are showing up, saying that we love you, we're here for you. If we can do that with the rising curriculum centered in Black history, our children don't know who they are, designed to teach them who they are, how to love themselves, embrace healthy lifestyles, fall in love with learning and conflict resolution. They need to know how to resolve conflicts.
If we can do that, we can reclaim our struggling young in the nation's low-performing schools, detention centers, and reentry programs. We can fill our sanctuaries that are empty during the day with our lost ones hanging out on every corner. It breaks my heart when we see all the brothers, especially walking through the streets of Washington, D.C. It doesn't have to be that way. We can reclaim them. We can fill our sanctuaries and offer the healing that people need. Turn their lives into something magnificent. We can even teach some how to become entrepreneurs. That's what group mentoring can do. And it's our moral responsibility to get it done. So I just want to say tonight that we can win. This we can win. On the day that we make our children more important than our titles, we will win. On the day that we make our children more important than our squabbles, we will win. On the day that we begin to practice what led our forebears to every victory ever won, from Haiti to Montgomery: occupational, operational unity, and functional solidarity, standing together, learning to love one another. On that day, we will win. This is the big business of Black America, and it's our work to do. This is the CARES promise, and I want to say to you, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, I thank you with all of my heart for this high honor, and I just ask all the leaders of CARES from all over the country who are here just to stand and let us applaud you. They're here from Detroit and Chicago and Sacramento and DC and New York City. Just stand up. Thank you so much, and for giving me this opportunity to speak. I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next recipient of the CBCF Chair's Phoenix Award, Miss Kathy Hughes.
Revolutionizing urban radio was just the beginning for Kathy Hughes, a true trailblazer with a razor-sharp focus on family values and community engagement. As the founder and chairperson of Radio 1, the nation's largest African-American owned and operated broadcast company, Kathy Hughes is the first and only African-American woman to head a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. Radio 1 currently operates 54 broadcast stations within 16 U.S. markets. In an effort to expand that vision and reach, she, along with her son, Alfred Liggins, transitioned Radio 1 into a conglomerate operating multiple media entities and created a dynasty that reaches far beyond the radio dial. In 2004, they launched TV One, which quickly became one of the fastest growing cable television networks, currently serving almost 57 million households. Through a broad mix of original programming of reality shows, movies, comedies, and documentaries, the network has successfully brought a perspective and voice to an underserved community. In addition, the network airs a daily morning news program, News One Now, that telecasts live from Washington, D.C. Interactive One, now the #1 digital network for African Americans, includes online platforms such as Black Planet, News One, Hello Beautiful, and many others, remarkably making it a force to be reckoned with in the digital space. And then there is Syndication One, the home of today's most profound, outspoken, and prolific African American radio hosts that include the Reverend Al Sharpton, Yolanda Adams, Roland Martin, Russ Parr, and Ricky Smiley and James Fortune. In addition to marketing its own CDs and DVDs through Distribution One, Radio One maintains a controlling interest in Reach Media, which operates the Tom Joyner Morning Show, airing in 100 markets and reaching approximately 8 million listeners. Since entering radio in 1973, Hughes has maintained her commitment to delivering real life and real entertainment from the African American point of view, while providing a connection to the authentic, rich, and diverse diverse experience of African American life, history, and culture. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation as we salute and honor Miss Kathy Hughes with the CBCF Chair's Phoenix Award for her work and accomplishments that stand as a role model for the African American community.
Representative Shaka Patel will present the next CBCF Chair's Phoenix Award to Kathy Hughes.
We've just seen a video with sights and sounds about our next honoree, Kathy Hughes. But most of her career has been solely in sound, that is, on the radio. Kathy Hughes is the first African-American woman to head a media company publicly traded on the U.S. Stock Exchange. Her rise was sure and steady, but it was not easy. Beginning her career at a black radio station in her hometown of Omaha, Nebraska, Hughes was so successful that Howard University School of Communications offered her a position. Hughes went to work for Howard University radio station, WHUR-FM, first as a sales manager and then as general manager, increasing its annual sales revenue from $300,000 to more than $3.5 million. When she decided to buy her own radio station, she was rejected by not one but 32 banks before finding a lender. With the loan that she got, she bought a small Washington, D.C. station, WOL, and Radio 1 was born. It's where I made my first appearance on media here in Washington decades ago. Hughes wanted a talk format. The bank wanted music. A compromise, believe it or not, was reached, permitting Hughes to have a morning talk program followed by music. And then her marriage broke up, and she began her new life as a single mother. To save money, she and her son had to give up their apartment and move into the radio station. But WOL began to turn a profit, largely due to the success of her talk show. Today, Radio 1 owns 65 radio stations, making it the largest black-owned radio chain in the nation. In 2004, Hughes launched TV One, a cable television channel targeted at reaching African-American households. Her media continue to offer the message of achievement and empowerment that has inspired Kathy Hughes throughout her career. Let us now join me as we present to Kathy Hughes the Chairman's Award, the Phoenix Award, to this super extraordinary communicator and media magnate, Kathy Hughes.
First and foremost, I give praise and thanks to God, from whom all blessings flow. To say thank you for this evening, the most incredible evening of my life, does not accurately tell you how fast my heart is beating, how fast my pulse is racing, nor does thank you describe the memory that will be embedded in my mind until the day I take my last breath. I am so humbled to be included in the group of honorees that are being recognized this evening. I'm so humbled to be sharing this evening's platform with the President of the United States. An incredible honor for me. And I am so happy to be in the distinguished company of the membership of the Congressional Black Caucus. My sincere thanks to the Honorable Chaka Fattah, the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, the Honorable Marcia Fudge, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and the incredible CEO of our foundation, A. Shanice Washington. What we're doing now with the foundation has never been done before, and I just thank God to be part of its membership. When I came to my first Black Caucus dinner, straight out of Omaha, Nebraska, Richard Nixon was the president, and there were 13 members of the Black Caucus. Tonight, we are 43 members strong in the Congress of the United States of America. And an African-American brother is the most powerful leader in the entire world. Now, in 1901, another brother by the name of Representative George White, when he was leaving the Congress of the United States, said that one day Black folks would rise like the phoenix and would be the most important group of legislators in the United States of America. That was 1901. Tonight, we know that that brother could see into the future. To be recognized during the 44th Annual Legislative Congress with the Covenant Phoenix Award is indeed the most important and significant event of my life. I am so sincerely thankful. If I may, a very personal shout out to my son and business partner, Alfred Liggins. When I became pregnant at 16, I knew that God had blessed me with Alfred so that he would be the wind beneath my wings. I love you, my son, and I thank you so much. In closing, I'm a praying woman because when you're 16 and pregnant, getting ready to become a mama, the best thing you need to do is pray that everything is going to be all right. I pray every day. We're a publicly held corporation, and I didn't realize that people didn't offer prayer at public meetings until I picked up the Washington Post the next day and said, Kathy Hughes prays at her first annual stockholders meeting. I'm going to pray at every stockholders meeting so that I will be back year after year to thank God for the opportunity to head a public corporation. To all of the members of the Black Caucus, especially to the Honorable Chaka Fattah, I say thank you, and I pray that God will bless each and every member of the Black Caucus, as well as each and every member of our great African American experience, community, and culture assembled in this room tonight for many generations to come. Thank you, and God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Congressman Chaka Fattah.
Well, we are moving to a moment in which you will have an opportunity to hear from a young man whose career has just been extraordinary. As a state senator, as a candidate for the U.S. Congress who the votes didn't add up for on election night, who then went on to win a U.S. Senate seat, and who then became the nominee of his party for the presidency of the United States of America. You are approaching a moment in which you're going to hear from a person who is guiding our nation at a time in which each and every step is fraught with opportunities and challenges. But I want to just spend a second and tell you that I came to the moment of interacting with President Obama because my daughter was away at law school in New York City, and she got involved in a campaign for a young guy running for Senate in Illinois. And she was all excited and said she had raised all this money. And I said, well, you know, you haven't raised a dime for your dad. She said, well, you never asked. But she was so enthusiastic. And as the story goes, he went on to the Senate. We had a forum in the Capitol in his first year. It was entitled, Yes, We Can. I was in the House, he was in the Senate. We were focusing on educational achievement. And the work that he did in the Senate on a whole host of issues, including making sure that the statue that's now on the mall, honoring one of the greatest figures in history, Dr. Martin Luther King, was actually constructed. And the work that he did there on a whole range of issues was so critically important that it went on to run for the presidency. And after the victory, he started his day towards inauguration with a train ride from a train station in Philadelphia. And on that train rode the hopes of a nation and of the world. Barack Obama, as president, has changed health care and affordability for millions, employment for millions, has changed the course of history. I present to you the President of the United States of America, Barack Hussein Obama. Welcome him. Give him an appropriate greeting as the First Lady of the United States of America.
CBC. Thank you so much. Everybody have a seat. It is good to be with you here tonight. If it wasn't black tie, I would have worn my tan suit. I thought it looked good. Thank you, Shaka, for that introduction. Thanks to all of you for having me here this evening. I want to acknowledge the members of the Congressional Black Caucus and Chairwoman Marcia Fudge for their outstanding work. Thank you, Shawnese Washington and the CBC Foundation for doing so much to help our young people aim high and reach their potential. Tonight, I want to begin by paying special tribute to a man with whom all of you have worked closely with, someone who served his country for nearly 40 years as a prosecutor, as a judge, and as Attorney General of the United States. Mr. Eric Holder. Throughout his long career in public service, Eric has built a powerful legacy of making sure that equal justice under the law actually means something, that it applies to everybody, regardless of race or gender or religion or color, creed, disability, sexual orientation. He has been a great friend of mine. He has been a faithful servant of the American people. We will miss him badly. This year we've been marking the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. We honor giants like John Lewis, unsung heroines like Evelyn Lowry. We honor the countless Americans, some who are in this room, black, white, students, scholars, preachers, housekeepers, patriots all, who with their bare hands reached into the well of our nation's founding ideals and helped to nurture a more perfect union. We've reminded ourselves that progress is not just absorbing what has been done, it's advancing what's left undone. Even before President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law, even as the debate dragged on in the Senate, he was already challenging America to do more and march further to build a great society. One Johnson said, where no child will go unfed and no youngster will go unschooled, where no man who wants to work will fail to find it, where no citizen will be barred from any door because of his birthplace or his color or his church, where peace and security is common among neighbors and possible among nations. This is the world that waits for you, he said. Reach out for it now. Join the fight to finish the unfinished work. To finish the unfinished work. America's made stunning progress since that time, over the past 50 years, even over the past 5 years, but it is the unfinished work that drives us forward. Some of our unfinished work lies beyond our borders. America's leading the effort to rally the world against Russian aggression in Ukraine. America's leading the fight to contain and combat Ebola in Africa. America's building and leading the coalition that will degrade and ultimately destroy the terrorist group known as ISIL. As Americans, we are leading, and we don't shy away from these responsibilities. We welcome them. That's what America does. And we are grateful to the men and women in uniform who put themselves in harm's way in service of the country that we all love. So we've got unfinished work overseas, but we've got some unfinished work right here at home. After the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, our businesses have now created 10 million new jobs over the last 54 months. This is the longest uninterrupted stretch of job growth in our history. In our history. But we understand our work's not done until we get the kind of job creation that means everybody who wants to work can find a job. We've done some work on health care too. I don't know if you've noticed, thanks to the Affordable Care Act, we've seen a 26% decline in the uninsured rate in America. African Americans have seen a 30% decline. And by the way, the cost of health care isn't going up as fast anymore either. Everybody was predicting this is all going to be so expensive. We've saved $800 billion in Medicare because of the work that we've done, slowing the cost, improving quality, improving access, despite unyielding opposition. This change has happened just in the last couple of years. But we know our work's not yet done until we get into more communities, help more uninsured folks get covered, especially in those states where the governors aren't being quite as cooperative as we'd like them to be. You know who you are. It always puzzles me where you decide to take a stand to make sure poor folks in your state can't get health insurance, even though it doesn't cost you a dime. That doesn't make much sense to me, but I won't go on that topic. We've got more work to do. It's easy to take a stand when you've got health insurance. I'm going off script now, but that's what happens at the CBC. Our high school graduation rate is at a record high. The dropout rate is falling. More young people are earning college degrees than ever before. Last year, the number of children living in poverty fell by 1.4 million, the largest decline since 1966. Since I took office, the overall crime rate and the overall incarceration rate has gone down by about 10%. That's the first time they've declined at the same time in more than 40 years. Fewer folks in jail, crime still going down. But our work's not done when too many children live in crumbling neighborhoods, cycling through substandard schools, traumatized by daily violence. Our work's not done when working Americans of all races have seen their wages and incomes stagnate even as corporate profits soar, when African American unemployment is still twice as high as white unemployment, when income inequality on the rise for decades continues to hold back hardworking communities, especially communities of color. We've got unfinished work. And we know what to do. That's the worst part. We know what to do. We know we've got to invest in infrastructure and manufacturing and research and development that creates new jobs. We've got to keep rebuilding a middle-class economy with ladders of opportunity so that hard work pays off and you see higher wages and higher incomes and fair pay for women doing the same work as men, and workplace flexibility for parents in case a child gets sick or a parent needs some help. We've got to build more Promise Zone partnerships to support local revitalization of hard-hit communities. We've got to keep investing in early childhood education. We want to bring preschool to every 4-year-old in this country. And we want every child to have an excellent teacher. And we want to invest in our community colleges and expand Pell Grants for more students. And I'm going to keep working with you to make college more affordable because every child in America, no matter who she is, no matter where she's born, no matter how much money her parents have, ought to be able to fulfill her God-given potential. That's what we believe. So I just want everybody to understand, we have made enormous progress. There's almost no economic measure by which we are not better off than when I took office. Unemployment down, deficits down, uninsured down, poverty down, energy production up, manufacturing back, auto industry back. But, I just list these things just so if you have a discussion with one of your friends and they're confused, Stock market up. Corporate balance sheets strong. In fact, the folks who are doing the best, they're the ones who complain the most. So you can just point these things out, but we still have to close these opportunity gaps. And we have to close the justice gap. How justice is applied, but also how it is perceived, how it is experienced. Eric Holder understands this. That's what we saw in Ferguson this summer when Michael Brown was killed and the community was divided. We know that the unrest continues, and Eric spent some time with the residents and police of Ferguson, and the Department of Justice has indicated that its civil rights investigation is ongoing. Now, I won't comment on the investigation. I know that Michael's family is here tonight. I know that nothing any of us can say can ease the grief of losing a child so soon. But the anger and the emotion that followed his death awakened our nation once again to the reality that people in this room have long understood, which is in too many communities around the country, a gulf of mistrust exists between local residents and law enforcement. Too many young men of color feel targeted by law enforcement, guilty of walking while black or driving while black, judged by stereotypes that fuel fear and resentment and hopelessness. We know that statistically, in everything from enforcing drug policy to applying the death penalty to pulling people over, there are significant racial disparities. That's just the statistics. One recent poll showed that the majority of Americans think the criminal justice system doesn't treat people of all races equally. Think about that. That's not just blacks, not just Latinos or Asians or Native Americans saying things may not be fair. That's most Americans. And that has a corrosive effect, not just on the black community, it has a corrosive effect on America. It harms the communities that need law enforcement the most. It makes folks who are victimized by crime and need strong policing reluctant to go to the police because they may not trust them. And the worst part of it is it scars the hearts of our children. It scars the hearts of white children who grow unnecessarily fearful of somebody who doesn't look like them. It stains the heart of black children who feel as if no matter what he does, he'll always be under suspicion. That is not the society we want. It's not the society that our children deserve. Whether you're black or white, you don't want that for America. It was interesting. Ferguson was used by some of America's enemies and critics to deflect attention from their own shortcomings overseas, to undermine our efforts to promote justice around the world. They said, well, look at what's happening to you back home. But as I said this week at the United Nations, America's special not because we're perfect. America's special because we work to address our problems, to make our union more perfect. We fight for more justice. We fight to cure what ails us. We fight for our ideals, and we're willing to criticize ourselves when we fall short. And we address our differences in the open space of democracy, with respect for the rule of law, with a place for people of every race and religion, and with an unyielding belief that people who love their country can change it. That's what makes us special, not because we don't have problems, but because we work to fix them. And we will continue to work to fix this. And to that end, we need to help communities and law enforcement build trust, build understanding, so that our neighborhoods stay safe and our young people stay on track. And under the leadership of Eric Holder, the Justice Department has launched a national effort to do just that. He's also been working to make the criminal justice system smarter and more effective by addressing unfair sentencing disparities, changing department policies on charging mandatory minimums, promoting stronger reentry programs for those who've paid their debt to society. And we need to address the unique challenges that make it hard for some of our young people to thrive. For all the success stories that exist in a room like this one, we all know relatives, classmates, neighbors who were just as smart as we were, just as capable as we were, born with the same light behind their eyes, the same joy, the same curiosity about the world, but somehow they didn't get the support they needed or the encouragement they needed, or they made a mistake or they missed an opportunity. They weren't able to overcome the obstacles that they faced. And so in February, we launched My Brother's Keeper. And I was the first one to acknowledge government can't play the only or even the primary role in the lives of our children, but what we can do is bring folks together, and that's what we're doing. Philanthropies, business leaders, entrepreneurs, faith leaders, mayors, educators, athletes, and the youth themselves to examine how can we ensure that our young men have the tools they need to achieve their full potential. And next week I'm launching My Brother's Keeper Community Challenge, asking every community in the country, big cities and small towns, rural counties, tribal nations, publicly commit to implementing strategies that will ensure all young people can succeed, starting from cradle all the way to college and a career. It's a challenge to local leaders to follow the evidence and use the resources on what works for our kids. And we've already got 100 mayors, county officials, tribal leaders, Democrats, Republicans signed on. And we're going to keep on signing them up in the coming weeks and months. But they're going to need you, elected leaders, business leaders, community leaders, to make this effort successful. We need all of us to come together to help all of our young people address the variety of challenges they face. And we're not forgetting about the girls, by the way. I got 2 daughters, I don't know if you've noticed. African American girls are more likely than their white peers also to be suspended, incarcerated, physically harassed. Black women struggle every day with biases that perpetuate oppressive standards for how they're supposed to look and how they're supposed to act. Too often, they're either left under the hard light of scrutiny or cloaked in a kind of invisibility. So in addition to the new efforts on My Brother's Keeper, the White House Council for Women and Girls has for years been working on issues affecting women and girls of color, from violence against women to pay equity to access to health care. And you know Michelle's been working on that because she doesn't think our daughters should be treated differently than anybody else's sons. I've got a vested interest in making sure that our daughters have the same opportunities as boys do. So that's the world we got to reach for. The world where every single one of our children has the opportunity to pursue their measure of happiness. That's our unfinished work. And we're going to have to fight for it. Got to stand up for it. And we have to vote for it. We have to vote for it. All around the country, wherever I see folks, they always say, "Oh, Barack, we're praying for you." Hey, boy, you're so gray. Look, you got all gray hair. You're looking tired. We're praying for you. Which I appreciate. But I tell them, after President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, he immediately moved on to what he called the meat in the coconut, a Voting Rights Act bill. And some of his administration argued that's too much, it's too soon. Movement, no, but the movement knew that if we rested after the Civil Rights Act, then all we could do was pray that somebody would enforce those rights. So whenever I hear somebody say they're praying for me, I say, thank you. Thank you. I believe in the power of prayer. But we need more than prayer. We need to vote. We need to vote. That will be helpful. It will not relieve me of my gray hair, but it'll help me pass some bills. Because people refused to give in when it was hard, we get to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act next year. Until then, we've got to protect it. We can't just celebrate it, we've got to protect it. Because there are people still trying to pass voter ID laws to make it harder for folks to vote. We've got to get back to our schools and our offices, our churches, our beauty shops, barber shops. Make sure folks know there is an election coming up. They need to know how to register, and they need to know how and when to vote. We've got to tell them to push back against the cynics. Prove everybody wrong who says that change isn't possible. Cynicism does not fix anything. Cynicism is very popular in America sometimes. It's propagated in the media. But cynicism didn't put anybody on the moon. Cynicism didn't pass the Voting Rights Act. Hope is what packed buses full of freedom riders. Hope's what led thousands of black folks and white folks to march from Selma to Montgomery. Hope's what got John Lewis off his back after being beaten within an inch of his life and chose to keep on going. Cynicism is a choice, but hope is a better choice. And our job right now is to convince the people we're privileged to represent to join us in finishing that fight that folks like John started. Get those souls to the polls. Exercise their right to vote. And if we do, then I guarantee you we've got a brighter future ahead. Thank you. God bless you. Keep praying, but go out there and vote. God bless America. Come on, Michelle Obama.
He's still the most recognizable man on earth. And over 40 years after he burst onto the scene as a gold medal winner at the 1960 Rome Olympics, Muhammad Ali remains a magical figure, known and loved throughout the world. His success as a boxer is widely respected, but Ali's greatest triumph lies in his legacy as a champion, leader, artist, and humanitarian. His work both inside and outside the ring truly makes Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time. Daring to go against political policy to help people in need, Ali has made goodwill missions to Afghanistan and North Korea, delivered sorely needed medical supplies to an embargoed Cuba, traveled to Iraq and secured the release of 15 United States hostages during the first Gulf War, and journeyed to South Africa to meet Nelson Mandela upon his release from prison. Championing the issues in the developing world has become a major focus of Ali's life. Traveling across continents, he has hand-delivered food and medical supplies to children in the Ivory Coast, Indonesia, Mexico, and Morocco, among other countries. He has been instrumental in providing over 232 million meals to the world's hungry. In addition to his international efforts, Ali is equally devoted to helping charities at home. He has visited countless numbers of soup kitchens, hospitals, and helped such organizations as the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Special Olympics. At the state capitol in Michigan, he advocated new laws for protecting children. Generating funds annually for the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Research Center, Ali has received numerous awards, including the United Nations Messenger of Peace and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Whether encouraging tolerance and understanding, feeding the hungry, reaching out to children in need, or funding medical research, Ali is devoted to making the world a better place for all people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to honor Muhammad Ali with the George Thomas Mickey Leland Award for displaying exceptional compassion and great commitment to championing the causes of the poor, the underprivileged, and the oppressed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Representative Andre Carson of Indiana and Representative Joyce Beatty of Ohio.
Are you having a good time? We have another honoree. If we could have everyone do us a favor and please take your seats, it would be very helpful. Thank you so much. Mr. Ali could not be here with us in person this evening because he is hosting the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awards in Louisville, Kentucky. But through the video we just saw and the memories we share, he is certainly with us in his spirit. I don't know about you, but that video made me want to laugh, to cheer, and to cry. Now I have the great pleasure and the rare privilege of presenting the Mickey Leland Phoenix Award to a true Phoenix, a man of courage, grace, and beauty, who has risen many times to overcome adversity. A true Phoenix, a man of courage and grace and beauty, a man that knows that what he has done made a difference. Growing up in the 60s, I could not help but admire the fighter first known as Cassius Clay and then as Muhammad Ali. First an Olympic champion and then a world heavyweight champion, Ali gave up his title because of his devotion to three great causes: his opposition to the war in Vietnam, his insistence on religious freedom, and his dedication to the dignity of Black Americans.
Our honoree insisted on being called Muhammad Ali, but we also know him by another name, the Champ. Over the course of his renowned career, Muhammad Ali has produced some of our nation's most lasting sports memories. From winning a gold medal at the 1960 Summer Olympics in Rome to lighting the Olympic torch at the 1996 Summer Olympics. His influence as an athlete and a humanitarian has spanned over 50 years. Muhammad Ali has shown unyielding dedication not only to his sport, but to struggling populations around the world. Ali has helped raise over $50 million for Parkinson research and helping families struggling with illnesses. Tonight, we honor Muhammad Ali, one of our country's national treasures, for his work on behalf of world peace, human rights, and global understanding.
Mr. Ali took the time to record a special message for us. Let's watch.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to receive the Phoenix Award. We'd like to thank the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for giving Muhammad this award by unanimous vote. We would especially like to thank Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and Congressman Andre Carson for leading the charge in getting Muhammad this beautiful, beautiful Phoenix Award. And we'd like to congratulate the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation on all the wonderful work that you are doing for community education and research. We applaud your efforts, and hopefully we'll be able to support your outreach into the community as well. And we would like to take the opportunity to invite all of you, all 42 of you, and actually all 43 of you, including you, Mr. President, to come and visit the Ali Center. He actually has been here, but we'd love to have you back. We have so many friends at the Congressional Black Caucus. As you know, Muhammad has many friends. Congressman John Conyers, Rangel, Keith Ellison, of course, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who has been a dear friend for many, many years. Hello to all of you. And a special thank you to Chairwoman Marcia Fudge for all the hard work you do on a daily basis in running the Congressional Black Caucus. And it is of a particular honor that this award comes to Muhammad this evening by unanimous vote. And of course, all of you who know Muhammad know that he would have expected no other way but by unanimous vote. The Ali Center, which is located here in Louisville, Kentucky, is here to preserve the Ali legacy for generations to come. And here at the center, we like to think we spread inspiration to people all over the world. And we have educational initiatives that talk about global citizenship and gender equality. And hopefully, the center will be here for all of you to visit and your grandchildren to visit. So we welcome you.
What an evening.
What an evening.
Honoring two of history's greatest. President Barack Obama and, of course, Muhammad Ali.
Yes.
Special evening. Give them another hand, folks. Say thank you to the President of the United States. I also want to thank our honorees this evening.
Yes.
Mr. Wade Henderson, Dr. Robert Wright, Ms. Susan Taylor, Ms. Kathy Hughes, and in absentia, the greatest himself, Mr. Muhammad Ali.
As this dinner comes to a close, you want to know what the president said to me? He said, I'm watching you on Ray Donovan. I like you.
And you heard what the First Lady said to me.
What'd she say?
I watch you every day I'm getting my hair done.
Yes, she did.
And she gets her hair done every day.
I think we should tell everybody, pray, pray, pray. Keep on praying for the president. Keep on praying for the First Lady. Keep on praying for the First Family. Keep on praying for the United States of America, because we got some prayer warriors out there, and we need some prayer.
Prayer warriors.
All right now, pray without ceasing. I want to thank all of you again. I want to express our appreciation to all of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and to say a special thank you to the chairman of the CBCF Board of Directors, my friend, Congressman Shaka Fatah.
The man.
Yeah. The chairwoman of the CBC, Representative my soror, Marcia Fudge.
Cleveland Town.
Yeah. And the co-chairs of this year's ALC representatives, Sanford Bishop and Joyce. Just go on and give me that green dress, baby.
Georgia and Ohio.
All right. And now I have the pleasure of introducing
the one and only.
Our final performance. Well, wait, I gotta say thank you to my husband, Senator Hughes. I love you. I love my politics so much I sleep with it.
And I love my wife and children. We have Linda Mathis, we have Greg Jr., we have Amir Mathis right here with us. And we all sleep in the same, never mind.
And to the mothers of Mike Brown and Trayvon Martin, we stand right there with you, heart to heart. We love you.
Thank you, Brother Ben Crump, for fighting with us and leading the fight.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, a group that has been described as having one of the longest, most influential, and most diverse careers in the pantheon of popular music.
Selected personally by our president, Charlene Jackson, selected personally by Sister Washington.
Are you ready for the legendary, the Isley Brothers? Good night, everybody. Enjoy the Isley Brothers. Have a safe trip home and pray.
Lord have mercy. Give me such a fantastic event tonight. We really had a great time. It was so inspirational to see Eric Holder right after he announced his resignation. He's been an awesome Attorney General. We really appreciate his service to the country for so many decades. And obviously it was very inspirational to see the President, Barack Obama, deliver the keynote address. We couldn't have been anywhere else but here tonight. It was fantastic.
I thought it was a really wonderful event, very well done, well planned, great lineup of awardees, very inspirational.
This is my first CBC, and I must say I'm amazed. Fantastic lineup, the honorees, all well deserved. It was always a pleasure and an honor to hear our President speak. Fantastic time, great people, great event, great cause.
And you shook the President's hand.
Absolutely, yes I did, and Clovis as well. Yes.
So I'm a little jealous. This is my 5th or 6th CBC, but it's fantastic, wonderful event, beautiful people, as you can tell, and we just had a really good time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic event, awesome to see the President, awesome to see all the honorees. Susan Taylor is a phenomenal woman, so great to be here.
The President's amazing, the event was incredible, I loved it, it was fantastic.
I was just really excited to be here this evening. I feel invigorated. I know that there's hope for the Black community and for America. And I feel like the Congressional Black Caucus really gives me purpose. It makes me feel like there's work that I can do in my own community, and I look forward to doing that work.
I'm a first-time attendee, and this has been absolutely amazing. Can't wait to come back.
The Congressional Black Caucus has always been a highlight of my day because it gives me a chance to network and meet the people who are doing important things for our country. I look forward to it every year.
We're excited to be here at the National Black Caucus. It represents all of the things that are positive in this country and the things that need to continue in order for us to grow as a nation. We're happy to be here.
Congressional Black Caucus 2014.
Congressional Black Caucus 2014.